You can never cross an infinity. So just by that simple argument, we get to the conclusion that there must have been a point of a beginning of time. Hubble was a famous astronomer who took a look at the Doppler effect, that's the red shifting of the wavelengths of light coming towards us from deep outer space, from stars that are way out deeply in outer space. And what Hubble was able to show in the mid-1920s was that the universe is actually expanding. So those distant stars from us are getting further and further away from us. And there's a red shift, or in other words, the wavelengths of light coming towards us from those stars are emitting light that we are detecting at longer wavelengths, and they appear more red, so to speak, or at a longer wavelength than you would expect. That shows that there's movement away from us. Just like the sound of the horn of a train coming towards you, it gets louder. It goes away from you, it gets more distant, and the pitch changes, the pitch goes down. Same principle. So here we have some observational evidence that showed that Einstein was correct. The universe really is expanding. And remember that you can extrapolate backward from that and show that if it's getting bigger, then that means at some point in the past there was an actual beginning. Now, what other evidence do we have for a beginning to the universe? Well, there's philosophical evidence as well. And there's one that I think is interesting and worth knowing. It's called the Kalam cosmological argument. But there's a principle, just thinking about the passage of time with me for a minute. So here we are in our present. Now, from the present moment, if you think about the future moving forward into the future, we live through each day. The days proceed. There's a tomorrow, there's a day after that, and so forth into the future. Well, but what about going in the other direction? Can we go backward in the same way? Well, what if the universe was infinitely old? Okay, now this is a really, really important point. If there was an infinite number of days before today in the past, think about that for a moment. You wouldn't be able to live through or proceed through all of those days and ever arrive at today and get to today, because there would always be one more day to go, because there's an infinite number of them before today, right? You could never do that. You could never cross an infinity. So just by that simple argument, we get to the conclusion that there must have been a point of a beginning of time. And from that point, we now proceed through each moment of time to the present and into the future. But you can't do that and cross an infinity. So that's just one philosophical argument that I think is helpful to keep in mind. But what else is there? So let's think about physics and let's think about energy a little bit more. So remember the first law of thermodynamics basically says that there's a fixed amount of energy in the universe. Okay, and that makes sense. There's no external source. There's no removal or leaving of energy from the universe to some other unknown place. There's a fixed and finite energy to the universe. Okay, and then the second law of thermodynamics applies, and this is really important. But basically, the amount of usable energy in the universe is going down. As stars burn, as planets form, as supernova explode, as black holes pull things in, as time proceeds and the universe expands, all of that is consuming the usable energy, so to speak, of the universe. And if the universe was infinitely old, we would have already run out of all of that usable energy already. And that hasn't happened. So there's another evidence that we can use showing that there must have been a beginning and that the universe is actually not infinitely old.